Welcome back, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started here ahead of the Week 6 ACC home opener against Miami. We have Mike Bloesch, offensive line coach and offensive coordinator, ready for questions. We will go to Jeff Rotto from Cal Bears on SI first.
Mike, how you doing?
Hey, Jeff.
You guys made significant strides, I thought, last year in terms of pass protection. Just kind of how do you look at the last two games, 13 sacks allowed? What do you need to do to fix that? What's gone wrong?
Yeah, it's been disappointing. Obviously, looking over that stuff at the bye week, doing some self-scout and evaluating, what we're doing schematically and then just the execution of it. Obviously the offensive line is going to be responsible for the majority of those, but we've had issues with running backs and protection. We've had issues with protection checks from the quarterbacks. So just really trying to streamline all that over the bye week has definitely been a focus.
So surprised that some of those things, besides just the blocking, have been an issue?
Obviously it's not getting coached well enough, and that's on the offensive staff to get it cleaned up. And then schematically on offense, we've got to do a better job of staying out of those third and must pass situations where people can just pin their ears back on us.
And what do you see when you watch Miami's defense in terms of what they do rushing the passer?
I see the team that's leading the country in sacks.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
We'll go to Matt Moreno from Rivals next.
I know Coach Wilcox talked about, everything was going to be open during the bye week. You guys are going to look at anything in terms of personnel, whatever changes you need to make. Was there anything that you looked at and assessed? And are there any personnel changes for you, I guess, on offense?
Yeah, obviously we're trying to create competition every single day in practice. That's something that Coach Wilcox has been huge on since I've been here. It's something that we talk to our players about a ton. This is a what have you done for me lately business. And so those guys understand that. I think we've got some really talented players. We got some young guys that are continuing to push. But as far as where we're at right now, we'll let that show on Saturday.
This is a meaningful game, it feels like, for Fernando, obviously his hometown team and all that. Do you have to have any kind of conversation with him about, keeping things measured and kind of staying even keeled?
Yeah, I think that's something that we've talked to the entire team about this week is, there's a lot of distractions in a good way. Obviously it's College game day is coming to Berkeley. That is a huge deal for our program. That's a huge deal for the city of Berkeley, for the University of California. So what we've talked about is just keeping the main thing. Our preparation needs to be dialed in, and we need to focus on practice and watching our film and doing all the things that we do on a normal game week so that we can go out and execute at a high level on Saturday.
We'll go to Steve Kroner from the Chronicle.
Sorry about that. Good morning, Mike.
Morning.
It appeared that early in the game at Florida State, there was a play along the sideline. It looked like Jaden might have aggravated the ankle a little bit, and he was out for a couple of series. Then he came back and looked almost as healthy as he did at the beginning of the season. One, am I correct in that assessment? And two, how's he looking now?
Yeah, I think obviously the Florida State game was as close as we've seen him to full go since the beginning of the season. The bye week came at a great time for him, and we're anticipating him being full speed, ready to go on Saturday.
Great, thank you.
Any more questions for Coach Bloesch? We'll go back to Jeff Rotto.
Yeah, on that same topic, Mike, how much does having him at full speed ahead change you guys potentially?
Yeah, obviously we've talked about that. He's one of our most explosive players, and he's experienced. He's a guy that we know can hit the home run for us, which we've been missing on offense. And, as soon as we can get him back 100%, we will be excited about that. So feel really good about where he's at. Feel like he's ready to get back to midseason form and help us win on Saturday.
How antsy is he to be that guy again?
Oh, I'd imagine he's pretty hungry. It's tough whenever, you have so much buildup and anticipation coming into a season. You have a really good year last year, and kind of the expectations rise on you. But it's really hard to do that when you're banged up. And so, especially at that position where you're getting hit in the legs over and over and over, you're having to put your feet in the ground and make cuts. So him getting back to 100% is going to be huge for his confidence and a huge boost for us offensively.
Great. Thank you.
We'll go back to Steve Kroner.
And Mike, not telling any tales out of school, maybe the biggest problem you guys have had on offense are the pre-snap penalties. How much have you been able to work on that in the past week and a half? And will you really not know if it's successful or not until you get either into Saturday night's game, or maybe not even until you get to Pittsburgh a week from Saturday?
Yeah, we've worked on it every single day. Again, that was a huge point of emphasis for us. I mean, it's honestly the reason why we lost the game against Florida State. We did not handle our business, especially as we got down into those tight red zone areas, and the crowd noise became an issue for us. I've got to do a better job coaching it. We've got to do a better job of executing it, communicating with all 11 guys in those situations. And yes, we've worked it every day, obviously not anticipating needing a silent count at home, but we will continue to work it every day so that it will not be an issue as we move forward on the road.
We'll go back to
Thank
Matt Marino.
Coach Wilcox has kind of talked overarching, I guess, about kind of small things and details being the difference between something good and something bad. For you guys, have you got that same sense offensively? Like if one small thing goes right, you guys are kind of on the verge of exploding and having those big plays that you want?
Yeah, I think that's football, right? And when you watch football, 10 guys can do it right, and one guy, gets beat underneath, or one guy runs the wrong route and the entire play is blown up. That's why football is the greatest game in the world. It takes 11 guys doing the same thing at the same time in unison. I think our players feel that when we do that. There's 50, 60 plays a game where we come back in and we watch it and say, hey, that's exactly what it's supposed to look like. But it's been the detrimental plays. It's been the negative plays, the sacks, the penalties that, obviously has just really put a blunder on the positive things we've done. And so we got to get that stuff cleaned up. I mean, we've had 4 games in a bye week and expect us to play our cleanest game on Saturday.
We'll go to Cody Henderson from the League Winners.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned that Miami is one of the top teams getting pressures and then sacks on their defensive line. How do you slow those guys down without, being overly, conservative in your play calling?
Yeah, obviously we've got to establish the run. We've got to be able to run the football and stay in manageable third downs. We've got to stay out of must-pass situations. And then we've got to do a great job of creating some matchups on the perimeter in space and doing things to keep them off schedule as well, whether it's moving the pocket, throwing screens, running the ball, play action, just multiple in how we're trying to attack them.